want to share experience, and then we'll invite you in the voice chat.
Exactly. So, PD, why don't you introduce yourself as well for those who don't know you?
Oh, yeah. Hi everyone, I'm PD. It stands short for PinkDolphin. This is actually one of my stereotypes, the pink river dolphin. I also identify as a Swiss Fat Shepherd dog. I'm a 20-year-old Therian YouTuber. I've been awakened, more specifically, I've been aware of being a Therian for about 5 years right now, but I've had non-human experiences ever since I can remember. With very clear, journal notes about when I was 9 years old, so very young actually. I'm also an admin of a local community. Kyra, by the way, is too. We have about 80 members in Belgium and the Netherlands, which is quite impressive. I'm also a Sun Therian, and my partner is also a Therian, and I think that's about it about basic information related to me. Also, for a side note, my pronunciation or my speaking might be pretty bad at times. I'm not native English, and when I'm nervous, like now, it gets particularly bad. So I'll try my best for you guys, but just bear with me throughout the panel.
Yes, and as I also am not native English speaker, I also might stutter every now and then because I might be just as nervous as PD is, and so yeah, we might have to think of our words a little longer than most people will.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you mentioned some things that I forgot to tell about myself. I'm also 20 years old. I'm in a film school, just as PD is, and we know each other personally because of those Therian meets that he hosts. And I also have a girlfriend who is currently Otherkin, I believe. I think, yeah, I don't know if Spacekin is also part of the Otherkin community, but yeah, she's Spacekin, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, as far as I know, as long as she, as long as she considers herself Otherkin as a Spacekin, she is an Otherkin, as far as I know. So that's nice.
All right, cool. So yeah, we'll be answering some questions that we have written down, and we will start with the first question here, which is, what is Therianthropy and what is it like to be a Therian?
Yeah.
PD, why don't you answer?
Oh, what did you say?
I'm sorry, PD, why don't you answer? I said.
Okay, sorry. Generally, being a Therian is a human who identifies as or has experience of a non-human animal. This can be through identity experiences, most often explained as shifting, and it's also very non-physical.
Yes, definitely. So we do not in any way, of course, believe that we can shapeshift physically. That's sort of seen as a taboo in the community, of course. And what is it like for you to be a Therian personally then?
I guess actually for me, it's just one of those aspects of my life. It's just who I am. It's a part of my life and always will be. It's kind of there as much of any of my other personality traits, by example. What is it like for you?
Well, I also think the same way. However, I do feel that it isn't a very ordinary thing for a common human being to have or experience. So I do feel a sense of pride when it comes to my Therianthropy because, yeah, I do think it makes me special and it makes me confident. So that really helps.
That's very nice. If anyone in the chat wants to share one of their experiences about being a Therian, go ahead, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if we have many Therians among us at the moment.
I mean, should we already invite someone in the voice chat? We can. I mean, we have time.
We can, if you want to. Yeah, sure. If you want to say something, please just message it in the panel chat, and then
I
we
think
allow you.
Sage the Terran might want to join in.
Yes, go ahead, Sage.
Do we have to mute him? Or?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So basically, how I found out what I was like a Therian was I was just kind of I looked up I was just like scrolling on YouTube and I saw this video shift to a wolf by somebody and I was like, okay, what? And then I saw another video that was like Therian related and it was like by I think a Therian hater, but it was like girl thinks she's a wolf and the video was Therians explaining who and what they were and I was like, hey, I think this is who and what I am. So I did more research and I did like a bunch of meditations and I had dreams of different things and I do have a lot of kin types, which a lot of people like try to say that I'm not part of the community for that, which is like I think they're just trying to get me to doubt myself and that's never going to happen. But actually I did learn something new about myself from learning some other person's experience today actually at the Othercon. I've always kind of felt like that I in another life I wasn't from this world and I didn't know what other-hearted meant. I didn't know if that was a thing or if I was just, cuz I have been saying people have told me because of being dragonkin and otherkin that people think are fiction. People have told me that I'm just making stuff up. And then I went on that panel and I heard somebody say, and I actually clicked on the panel by accident and trying to join a VC. And I thought it was a VC, but it was a panel, and I heard them talking about it. And I was like, hey, this is what other-hearted is? Wait, I think this is what I am. I think that the feeling of being not from this world was me being other-hearted, and I think that explained like a lot about it. But I do know like I have had dreams of like me in a past life from what I know of. Like I've had this reoccurring dream actually of me as a black cat, and
Can I interrupt you there
yeah,
for a second?
of course.
You said that you meant that because you do not necessarily believe that you are from this world or that you are from another world, that you think that you are other-hearted, you say?
I don't know. Like somebody said it was other-hearted, and that's what other-hearted meant. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
Um,
that's not in our belief that's not entirely true. But we will be talking about the difference between other-hearted and Therianthropy in further questions.
yeah.
Yes, it might be interesting for you.
Yes. So thank you for your share. Really, that was a nice comment on the first question. And it was a very great example for anyone who wants to butt in any question. Then they can just message us in the panel chat and we will allow you to unmute yourself so you can share some experiences. We do have to kind of keep the schedule that we made for this, so we cannot let everyone talk all the time, but we would love to hear your experience every now and then. We will just see if
Yeah,
there
and
is
I'm
room
reading the
for that.
chat, so just send the chat.
Yes. So right now we should just head off to the second question, which is, what is a stereotype exactly, and what is your experience? So the answer to that question is that the stereotype is basically the animal or the species that a Therian identifies as or has the experiences of.
Yeah.
Um,
Do I answer on you, or do you want to say something still?
no, you can go ahead.
Okay, nice. Yeah, of course, I completely agree to that general answer. I personally identify as a Swiss Shepherd dog, as I said before, and a pink Dolphin, so that makes me a polytherian. Both of those experiences are for me psychological. Whoa, it's a difficult word actually. And not really spiritual, even though I think there might be something spiritual hidden underneath there for me.
Mhm.
I do question a few other stereotypes, and some people do know that I also have a gold crest, which is a bird as a stereotype. However, I don't enjoy speaking about it actually. Kyra, what are your stereotypes?
Well,
like I stated before, I identify as a silver wolf and a betta fish. I'm currently not really questioning any terrier type, and my experience is actually both psychological and spiritual. And I believe that my silver wolf terrier type is more psychological, and then my betta fish terrier type is more on the spiritual aspect, which has to do with some conditions that I have called synesthesia. And so yeah, that's mainly what my case is. um and I have the animalistic experience of them. Like, I feel as if I am them. um I feel as if it's like it says as much about me as it says about my gender, for example, or like my personality or my characteristics. So yeah, that's basically what's going on with my stereotypes. If someone would like to button to that, if someone would like to share the experience of having a stereotype, that would be lovely. Mm. And yeah, thanks, Brayden, for thinking that the betta fishes are cool. That's a nice compliment. Hazel, yes, you can button if you want to.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I have a black and tan coonhound stereotype that is a past life, and it's I know it can be confusing because sorry, I gotta calm down.
It's alright, you know what it's like.
It can be confusing because a lot of people say that past lives can't be stereotypes when I still do experience like a lot of residual behaviors from that life, if that makes sense.
It's more like I completely agree with you. Like it's more like if you have a past life, if you feel as if you were an animal in the past life, as long as you still identify as that animal, you are basically a Therian. It's not like if you have a past life, you're immediately a Therian. It's more like, yeah, it is a part of your identity. So you have to identify with or as the animal in order to be a Therian.
Right, I completely agree.
Yeah, I know a few people who are Terran because of a past life. One of my best friends, actually, Kazu Creations, Kazu from Germany, is like this. And at first, I had a bit of trouble to like understand their experiences because they didn't talk about the traditional identity in the way most Terrans would. But like, as how they usually experience it, in my observations, is like it was a past life, and like in this life I still have like experiences of the past life, like similar behavior reasons and everything. It's actually very interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely weird for me because like as a werewolf, and that is also part human and a cat and a dog, it's like what's going on?
Yeah, I can totally understand. So, really, thanks for your share. That was amazing. I do think it had a lot of contribution to the conversation so far.
Dutch.
Anyway, on another topic, PD, why don't you explain to us what exactly alter human means, and do you consider yourself being alter human?
Okay, alter-human is generally an umbrella term for anything that isn't standard human, or in more difficult words, something that is alternative to the common societal idea of humanity. Technically, it includes our non-human identities, such as Therian or Othercon, and experiences such as kid and copperlinkers. Practically, however, it includes anyone who feels as if they're not completely human or different from standard human. So sometimes furries or DID systems, by example, also consider themselves alter human, but not every furry is automatically alter human, I would say. Personally, because of being a Terran and feeling not completely human, I consider myself an alter human, of course. How about you?
Yeah, I certainly consider myself ultra human as well. Because I really do feel as if, yeah, well, simply because of the definition of alter human, it meaning that you identify as more than just human, or like what I said basically. Being a Therian basically means the same thing. So I really do see being a Therian as also being alter human. Let's see. Is there anyone out there who maybe does not consider themselves alter human, rather than maybe just they want to Otherkin, not alter human? If not, that's totally fine. We can just continue with the next question, though.
Yeah, okay, for me, you also cut out. I think it was something about your Wi-Fi. Generally, we asked if anyone in the chat is not an alter human or consider themselves not alter human, even though they might be, by example, a furry or a system, by example.
Sorry for cutting out, by the way.
It's fine, that happens. See, Obsidian, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They do not consider themselves alter human. Why is that? Be free to join the voice chat or stay in the chat, I'd say. I think we will just head on maybe to the next question if no one really asks to join.
They are typing, though.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They are typing, though.
Yeah, for me, it's just like a lot of people are typing. It's whatever my Discord tells me.
Yeah, you can see it on the right. You can see it in the volunteer stuff list. They are typing.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I can completely see the preference. I completely agree with preferring something like that. I know a few people, by example, are technically non-binary but don't prefer to use this term for themselves for similar reasons.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with this because, for example, basically I am a polytherian, but I really decide not to call myself a polytherian as I just I don't feel connected to that term. So I can see where it's coming from.
Yeah, and Kyra, next question. What are therianthropic shifts precisely?
A therianthropic shift is basically the experience of changing from a human state to the animal state. This can kind of fluctuate, so it doesn't have to be completely animal or completely human. You can also like kind of get in the middle. It's more like a skill, and yeah, that's basically what it is. You have different kinds of shifts, but we will be talking about that soon. And for me, it's I really enjoy actually having shifts, of course, because I can understand why more people would have that, because having a therianthropic shift in some way feels as if you can finally you can finally kind of fill in the urges that you get of your therianthropic stereotype, and so getting shifts really feels euphoric in a way. It feels like you set that part of yourself free, which is rather nice. So yeah, I do experience a lot of shifts in that way. And what do you experience, PD?
Well, tell me about it. I'm basically in Therian, which we'll go about in a bit. But it does mean I have a lot of shifts, basically. Or yeah, I will keep it like that. I have a lot of shifts. This actually creates quite a few of unfitting scenarios or like some odd reactions from the public or people around me. Like I had this one time where I guess I jump scared from something. It was a biker and I hissed and jumped at the side. Now imagine like this one person in the middle of the street just hissing and jumping aside. So everyone just stared at me as if I was crazy. I actually have those kind of situations quite often. So shifts do impact my life quite a lot, even though of course I learn to diffuse them and kind of keep them inside, let's say. But yeah, they're there and everyone can sometimes they're there and they're obvious.
Yes. Is anyone who would like to share what kind of shifts they experience, or if they have like a funny story about a shift? Esther, that's nice. Oh, Fox 2? Yeah, okay.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi, I just joined voice. I don't know if if you want me to explain right now.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So hi, my name is Luna. I'm a Sun Therian as well. So basically, I'm shifted like all the time, but my human and animal counterparts are very still separate. But I have shifts incredibly much. Like it's so often. It's like every day. Like I found the way I actually found out I was a Sun Therian was that when put in situations where I would get angry, I would have urges just to growl at people and bare my teeth. That's why it's so hard for me to smile at people. And it's just my animal side is so influential on me. I'm a Mackenzie Valley Wolf Sun Therian, so.
Well, I can imagine that having a big impact on your life.
Yeah, it really does. My mom knows about my identity. I've been open with her. I've been in the community for about 5 years. I've been open with her the whole time, and she sees me as more wolf than human sometimes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's very accepting. I want to
That's
be.
great.
I want to be a person who works with wolves when I grow up. I'm working to be a wildlife conservationist, so she's very supportive of that.
That's really great, and I really hope that you will succeed in that.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for your share. I do want to add a note. Please, before you button in the voice, and this is not directly, this is not meant for Luna specifically, but I just wanted to mention to all you guys, please do first of all send a message in the chat before you actually button in the voice chat, because we would like you to actually we would like to give you permission before you speak, because there are a lot of people who want to talk at the same time, and we will have to pick someone. And if someone is just suddenly joining, it kind of takes away the freedom of choice that we have. So yeah, but anyway, thanks for your share. That was a really nice experience. We will go to the next question, which is what kind of shifts exist out there, and which one do you experience the most, PD?
Generally, the most well-known and experienced therianthropic shifts are the mental shift, of course, which is a change of your mindset to that of your terratype, or maybe just maybe just, how do you call it? Shizzles. I lost it. Like, it gets worse. Instead of a complete shift, it can also just be a fluctuation. That's the word, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Secondly, you have the phantom shift, which is the experience of feeling like you have a phantom limb that isn't human. So, by example, ears or tails. You also have the dream shift, which is when you either are your terratype in your dream, or you actually experience a shift in your dream. You also have the sensory shift, which is basically a focus change to the senses of your terratype or influenced by your terratype, which also usually gives an illusion that you might smell better or see better, by example. And last but not least, you have the chameleon shift, which is basically any of those shifts that isn't of your terratype. There are plenty of other shifts out there, like bilocation shift and berserker shift, by example, but they aren't experienced as often, so we will not go in depth into those.
Exactly, and thanks for the explanation. What is the shift that you like experience the most?
My most experienced shift is certainly the mental shift and the phantom shifts. I personally are basically in a constant state of having a phantom tail, even though sometimes it's barely there, so I wouldn't really notice it. And I have very frequent experiences of fur phantoms, actually. How about you?
I actually have the same thing. Like, I experience a lot of phantom shifts, barely any tail shifts, to be honest, but I mainly feel ear phantom shifts, and this is because I can personally, with my human ears, I can move them individually, and also you cannot. Yeah, I can also like you can't see it, but it feels as if I can move them up and move them back. So it basically feels like I have phantom ears constantly, because they always feel bigger than they really are. And I also experience a lot of mental shifts from day to day.
Oh, cool. Is anyone in the voice chat willing to share their experiences about what kind of ships they usually experience?
Let's take in Esther for now, because they've
Yeah.
been wanting to get in.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hey, is this an
Hello.
okay volume?
It's fine.
Is it? I'm not too loud, am I?
You're fine. You're still fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, well, I tend to have phantom ears usually. They kind of fade in and out depending on the day.
Do you have
I do
any
have
other
the-
ships? Oh, sorry.
I do have the occasional mental shift, but that's much more uncommon. And this is the first time I've heard anyone mention a phantom fur, and I thought it would. Didn't have any experience outside of my own, so.
That's nice. I have personally experienced phantom fur as well in the past. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I think we can take in.
You're welcome.
I think we can take in Fox as well, because that was a short answer. Fox, would you like to share your experience as well?
Yeah, hi. So I basically experience what's almost like a constant tail and ears, but I've never heard of anybody else experiencing this. But sometimes, like right before I fall asleep, I'll feel like full body, so like legs, tail, fur, ears, and like the lot, and it's really, really intense.
Yes, I can totally understand what you mean. I've heard a lot of people say that when they lay in bed that they get full body or almost full body phantom shifts. I have actually experienced this as well. So that's really fun to hear that from you. Oh, okay, so they're gone. That's okay. So I think it's okay if we go to the next question. Which is, have you experienced a shift that is kind of rare, whether this is from your stereotype or a cameo shifts? I myself have had a really rare shift about a few weeks ago. This was in Belgium, and it was a very hot day. And I actually had a less common shift, which is called, I think, a bilocational cameo shift, which basically means that you feel as if you are at two locations at the same time. Am I correct, PD?
Sorry, I was kind of paused out with Miles in the conversation. You asked if I had any weird shifts, I think, right?
No, I was explaining my experience with rare shifts, and I was asking if I'm correct about bilocational shifts existing, and it meaning
Yeah, they sure exist. Personally, I don't know them that well because I don't experience them. And it's kind of confusing how other people experience usually. So I'm not that educated on bilocation shifts, but they sure are a real thing. And the way they can be experienced kind of depends per person, I believe.
All right. Well, what I experienced is that first off, I've never had the bilocational cameo shift before, and second, the animal was actually kind of unusual because I am a silver wolf. It felt really weird to feel that I was having a Mexican wolf cameo shift, and I felt as if I was having like a brownish fur, and I was like walking in hot open fields of Mexico, which I had never experienced before, and it's kind of like the opposite of what I usually experience because I am like a silver wolf, which is like a combination of a Arctic and a tundra wolf. I usually experience like bilocations of snow, or I feel at home in snow. So being in the open plains of Mexico was kind of a weird experience for me, for sure. PD, would you like to share a weird experience that you have had?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's absolutely not what I'm here for, but I'd say one of my weirdest shifts is probably the claw and teeth shift I once had. It feels kind of like someone is like pulling out and deforming your teeth. It feels really weird because they get long and sharp and a bit weird when you speak and eat. I also couldn't properly pick anything up for a while with those claws on my hands. This was actually of my Swiss Red Shepherd dog type. I also know I remember once had a tongue shift when you have like this big white long tongue like dripping outside of your mouth. which was definitely a weird shift to me.
That's really funny, and I find it really interesting that the phantom shift you had actually had influence on your I don't know the word actually, on your physique, or that you weren't able to pick things up and everything. So that
Ah,
was
yeah.
actually that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, actually, I
Um,
usually have that. Sorry if I may add. I usually have that when I have paw or leg related phantom shifts. I lose my balance and I tend to fall over or trip over.
okay, that's I've actually never heard of that before. I've never experienced that either, but that's actually a really nice. I've never heard of that. Um, So yeah, seventh question. Let's talk about kiths as we wanted to talk about before. What is the difference between having a stereotype and being kith, or like having a ex animal kith? And what is the difference for you, BD?
Um, Generally, kith is the umbrella term of other-hearted, which means which is for the non-human or which is for the non-animal or non-earthen creatures, such as, by example, mermaids or elves, and animal herders, which is for the animals, such as cats, by example. Someone who is kith feels a strong connection to this being, which we often translate to identifying with, actually. They might feel as if this animal is their family, that they should belong with them or instead of the humans, or feel as if they can understand the animal on a personal and deep level. They might heavily relate to them even or recognize themselves in the animal. So it's a really deep connection that goes beyond most explanations usually.
Yes, and I certainly have this too. I am actually butterfly and tiger kith. The butterfly kith is a discovery that I only made recently, and for those who actually watch my videos on YouTube, they will have seen a video about it. Because it is a very new discovery for me. And basically, what I experience indeed is that I really identify with butterflies and tigers. There is a small there's a small difference between the two animals. First of all, I really look up to tigers, but I also feel as if I could be one, or I feel as if I could um, I feel as if I could be family with them, and I feel as if I make a strong connection with them. And the same goes for butterflies. I feel as if I can actually I can actually connect to butterflies. Like I feel as if they can send me messages and everything, which is kind of rare, I believe. And so yeah, that's kind of my experience with butterfly and tiger gith. But the difference is that I would never be able to actually identify as a butterfly. Um, Tiger Kith is slightly different for me because I have actually questioned tigers in the past, but right now I don't feel as if I can identify as a tiger. So that's basically the difference between a kith and a kin or a stereotype. How about you, PD?
I'm kids with cats. This usually creates very frequent cameo shifts for me, which leads actually to many friends of mine often saying that I should be a cat instead of a dog because I hiss and I have a lot of cat-like tendencies. However, I don't feel like I am a cat. I don't feel like my experiences are more than the connection or the relating I have with cats. So not like the Suicide Shepherd dog or the Dolphin, by example. I also often think that this kid/Therian confusion is what leads so many new Therians or new kids that stumble onto the community to believe they are Therian and then later on discover that there might be a kid instead or just be nothing at all, because the confusion is easily made I mean, if I will know better, I will think I'm a cat Therian, but to me the experiences are now clear enough to not be that of a Therian but that of a kid, by example.
Yes, definitely. I think that if I were an ignorant kid who hadn't had much research done, I would also probably identify as a tiger instead of a wolf. Um, but yeah, is there
I,
anyone out there who would like to share their experience with being kith, maybe? Are there any kiths in general? Let's see. I see a Night Fury kith, or like questioning. That's pretty nice. I can see a questioning machine kit, which is also really great. A Giratina hearted, which is also nice. I believe that's a Pokemon. Hyena kit questioning, Eltis hearted questioning. Yes, Clover, you can butt in if you want to.
Okay, so it's kind of interesting because I'm not sure if it comes from the psychological side or the spiritual side of my connection to cats. I mean, I'm catkin, also lionkin. But it's kind of interesting because it's not just felines, it's also felidae as a whole. So, I find myself both identifying with, like a little bobcat or, the smaller cats, but also like, large cats like a tiger or something. But they feel like I identify with them in the same way. And it's kind of strange and hard to explain, but it's interesting. Um, Actually, I'm also questioning if I might be Feliforma kith in general because I was thinking about that being hyena kith. They fall under Feliforma, and I might do some more research on other Feliforma animals that aren't Felidae because now that I think about it, it might be even higher up than that.
Well, that's really interesting. And have you ever, that's what I'm wondering right here, have you ever maybe considered that you might be a Therian who identifies as the feline species in general, which is possible?
I don't. I definitely wouldn't consider myself to identify as felines or felidae in general. As I feel like the only ones that I do identify as are house cat and what. But I do feel like a strong connection with all of them. In a way.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you for your share.
Yeah, this actually directly brings us to the next question we wanted to ask, which is about what is a Therian, a Contherian, and a Therian. Do you want to explain, Kyra?
Yeah, sure. So both Suntherians and Contherians are basically Therians who are constantly shifted to some degree. In other words, they never really change from human to animal. But we actually call them like non-shifting Therians. And a Contherian is always like in the same state of a shift experience, and they don't really go from human or animal or the other way around. And a Suntherian can still fluctuate. Their experiences can still go from being kind of like in between animal and human to being more human and being more animal. And let's see, a Cladotherian is a Therian who does not have a specific species as a Therian, but rather identifies as like the entire clade or like the entire animal kingdom branch, such as canines or felines or anything alike. And that's why I asked the question to Clover before, because that could also have been a possibility. I myself am not a Suntherian because I mainly feel human unless I'm having shifts. So when I'm outside on a day-to-day life, in day-to-day life, I will not really feel as if I am a wolf unless I experience shifts. It is important to know that it does not make me less of a Therian because everyone's Therianthropy is a different experience. How about you, PD?
Yeah. First off, I would really try to encourage the thought of that some Therians aren't any better than regular Therians because they are always animal or something, which I do sadly enough stumble into sometimes in the Therian community. As a personal experience, I'm a Therian, and I've honestly met quite a few Therians also by now in years. As a Therian, I have constant shifts. However, even though we technically will say I do not shift at all because I never go from a change from the one state to the other state, I do still experience fluctuations or, by example, different experiences on a day-to-day basis. The one day I might have a constant phantom shift, and the other day I might suddenly have a dream shift, by example. So my shifts still kind of changed over time, which is why I still call them shifts personally. Some people might prefer this, some people might not. Yeah, I've met a few Therians. One of them, by example, was a Therian, and that was a pretty interesting experience, by example.
I think we also have someone in the Therian, in the Dutch and Belgian Therian group who is a Cloudotarian. They identify as this flying dinosaur, but I'm not sure what it is called anymore.
Yeah, there might be.
I'm not sure anymore what the name is of that dinosaur. However, Clover, would you like to mute yourself again, because we can hear you, and so that. PD, why don't you ask the next question?
Generally, how do you let therianthropy play a role in your life, or does it influence your day-to-day activities?
For me, it mainly influences my life when I'm comfortable to be myself. Like, I have learned over the years to not show any animistic behavior when I'm like in public or with people that do not know that I'm a Therian. Although sometimes it kind of peeps out by accident, of course. Like, I suddenly do something that is not really considered very human, which, yeah, well, it can happen to anyone, of course. And I generally feel very comfortable around my girlfriend, so she makes me shifty a lot. So usually I get very shifty when I am just alone with her. And I'm at home, I have come out to my parents as a Therian, so at home I'm also free to like make noises and do animistic stuff. So that's basically how it plays a role in my life. It's mainly just when I am feeling comfortable to be myself. Pidi, how about you?
For me, I guess it's just always kind of there for me, the therianthropy, which is obvious in shift-related explanation. It also is quite present in my life as I wear Therian gear, for example, from time to time, and I won't exactly hide or lie about being a Therian or that I am one. So if someone, by example, accidentally stumbles onto my channel or sees the data delta that is pasted onto my computer or sees my color, by example, I will not lie about the explanation. I'll just straight on say, like, hey, yeah, I'm a Therian and a Therian is X and I. Because I've never really had any negative experiences with this, so I wouldn't know why I would have to hide this. At this point, nearly all of my friends and a huge chunk of my family actually knows. And even school teachers know that I'm a Therian, by example. The fact that I'm a YouTuber also doesn't really help in hiding, of course, because it requires me to be active in the Therian community on a daily basis. So therianthropy is always like present in my life. I always read someone's experience every day. I always receive some kind of message every day about someone who has trouble with their therianthropy and asks me for advice, by example. So it's always kind of there for me, outside of how shifts, of course, influence my day every single day.
Yeah, of course. I also forgot to mention that I'm very active in the community as well, so that does influence my life as well. I think that we're going to like ask one more question to ourselves, and then we might actually take some questions from the people in the chat, because I see that we only have a little more than 10 minutes left. Less than 10 minutes left, I see. So well, you know what? I thought it was more than 10 minutes, so perhaps it's better if we just answer some questions from the chat. Is that a good idea, PD?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I sure think really, if we want to do this next year, we need 2 hours to properly fill this conversation, probably.
Yes. I did not expect this at all to be so fast, because I'm just having so much fun, actually. So if anyone wants to ask a question, I've seen some questions flying by. So I would love to see some questions if you have any.
I know someone not too long ago actually asked me about what it's like to be a dolphin.
Oh.
If I could shortly answer this.
Sure.
I would say being a dolphin is not really different from any other stereotype, aside of the fact that it makes you like immensely drawn to water. Like if I hear water running somewhere, I will have the extreme urge to just jump in it, and I hate water, so that means a lot for me. Uh, so I can always explain more in depth about what it's like to be a dolphin Therian in PM. So please never hesitate to send me a private message. I love answering, I love talking. But in general, it's kind of the same than any other stereotype, of course.
I so relate to that because I am a fish, of course. So yes, I am very drawn to water as well. The next question is, how do you go about inducing shifts? This is a very nice question. I will answer this on my behalf for a bit. PD, if you want to button, you can also button, of course. When I want to induce a shift, I mainly try to find triggers that work for me. So, for example, I know that certain types of music can really induce some shifts. And for me, for example, that's kind of like rock music, but also very tribal music. So I listen to that, and then I usually can feel myself getting into a shift. What also helps for me, as with my wolf terrier type, I would love to just go to the woods and walk on my own and really just kind of concentrate on my wolf self and kind of imagine myself being a wolf, even though I am one. And that really helps with like inducing any kinds of shifts. So it's really about finding your triggers and trying to get those triggers to work. And another example. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, about triggers. One of the triggers of my dolphin type is bass. So like bass in songs.
Bass.
Imagine listening. Yeah, bass. That's what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah.
So imagine listening to a song on a very loud volume with like this huge bass, whoa, in it, and I'll just completely go dolphin crazy, I'd say. So that's one of my biggest triggers, actually.
That's a really fun trigger.
I think the bass is similar to a sonar shift, maybe, so that might actually cause it.
I think so, yeah. It's kind of like I can imagine that if you're like underwater and you as a dolphin click a lot as to communicate, it also contains a lot of vibrations. So I think it has to do with that.
I think so.
Do any of you have more questions? I think I saw a few more questions above. Not sure though. But if you want to ask any, you can just go ahead as well. If you don't, we can also just answer one more question that we had planned for ourselves. So I'm going to give you guys a little more space to maybe ask a question, as I see several people typing. Be a little quick though, because otherwise we will have to, like I said, choose a question ourselves.
For me, it's just kind of inflicting a situation. By example, if I haven't seen my friends in a very long time, so I go visit them, I get shifts. Or going to the woods and listen to songs, by example.
Yeah, that was an answer to Apikira Vampiri. As they also asked a similar question about shifts and how to like connect with your kin type. Then there is a question of Luna. What was the time both of you felt the closest to your terrier types? Oof, that's a really good question. For me, I think I've had. I'll answer this on behalf of my betta fish terrier type, as my wolf terrier type is more frequent. But my betta fish terrier type, I remember distinctively when I was, I think, about 11 years old. I went to a camping place in France, which was the first time I had a not a recorded, but like I remember it very distinctively, that I was having a mental shift of my betta fish terrier type, because I was in a pool and no one wanted to swim with me. I was like the only one who wanted to swim, and I was literally just being underwater for like almost 2 hours just bubbling towards the surface of the pool, of the water. And that's kind of like what betta fishes do. So this was like the most strongest connection I've ever had with my betta fish stereotype. Ever since, it's not been as strong as it was back then, because I have to be underwater in order to get mental shifts.
I wouldn't know what my closest will be, but do you remember the last sleepover meet where I chased the ball underneath everyone's legs? I think that
Yes.
was one of the moments I was probably the most gone into a mental shift that I've been in the past recent years.
Oh, that's so fun because I was there and those were actually my legs.
That's so funny. I was completely gone. So for the people who weren't there was someone who had a little ball at the Therian sleepover and was rolling it around, and I got a mental shift, and I started to jump between everyone's legs, like slide over the ground between everyone's legs, kinda. I don't know why I did it. I think I was chasing the ball for some reason. And
I think so,
afterwards,
yeah.
when I snapped out of it, I like wanted to drink something, and I was talking in this very simplified language of like, I drink, I thirsty. So I was gone. I was gone.
Yeah, that's amazing. I sort of do remember that indeed. And there was a very great meme arising from that moment because I made a little strip or like a little comic thingy in which I like
Yeah,
drew
also
the reaction. Yeah, and basically the whole point is that right now if PD wants to like jump between legs, he will shout hole.
yeah, and I'll jump between the legs.
Yes, so that kind of happened. Yeah, but we had lots of fun back then. We will. I think we can answer. Oh yes, that's the comic right there.
So
I
sorry.
made that, and that's like the person, the legs. That's actually the closeted me still being like sort of feminine back then. Uh, so yeah, that kind of explains something. um, I think yeah, we are at 11 o'clock. Our time is done, so we will have to quit our panel.
No problem. Don't be
Bye
shy.
bye.
Bye bye.